What's up, y'all? It's your girl Pop, and I am back with another video. And so today I am filming a video about depression awareness. October is Depression Awareness Month. Not too many people know that, but it is. And so because we are spreading awareness, I thought that it would be good for me to share this video today. So let's get into it. In 1990, Congress declared the first week of October Mental Health Week. Now it is observed as Depression Awareness Month. Depression in adolescents has increased over the past year, and 60% of which were not treated. Since 2011, that rate has remained the same. And so during this month, or honestly throughout the year, we want to raise awareness about depression, about its signs, about the symptoms, and about various treatment options. This is also the month where people are able to, share their stories, to help others. So when I first started my research, I wanted to know the difference between mental health and a mental illness. A lot of people say we all have a mental health, but that doesn't mean that everybody will have a mental illness. So what is the difference? Mental health refers to our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects our daily lives, such as the way we think, our actions, our mood, our behavior, but it can also be affected by our daily lives, such as our surroundings and our environment. So our environment is important to taking care of our mental health. And something that I say is that our mental health is in relation to what we do and why we do. So when it comes to taking care of our mental health, we may do certain things for a certain reason, to better our mental state. Now, a mental illness is defined as a condition that affects our thinkings, feelings, mood, and behavior. And the emphasis about a mental illness is that it's a legit medical condition. It is a condition, you all, that affects the way that we think, feel, and behave. And anything regarding our mental state is on a spectrum. When it comes to people, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. Many of us may go through the similar things or have similar experiences, but our mental state or where we are mentally is not going to be the same for everybody. But it is very important as well that we do share our stories so that people know that they're not alone in what they're feeling. And so now I just want to share a little bit of my story, or my story about my depression or mental health with you all, and I hope that some of you will be encouraged by the rest of this video. My parents divorced when I was in elementary school, and after that my dad went to work in Alaska for like 3 years. And I remember the first time that he left, I was about 9 years old, and I was just screaming and crying out for him, just the same phrases over and over again for hours, because I didn't really understand why he was leaving. I didn't want him to leave, and I felt like he was leaving me, and I didn't want him to. And I cried, I screamed, I yelled for hours. And so honestly, I guess you could say that my depression stemmed from a traumatic experience. That kind of started everything. And after that, I was put into counseling. I didn't really know why I was there. And so it didn't make sense to me. And I didn't really get anything out of it. I also didn't really tell her anything, but I didn't know why I was there. And I didn't know why she kept talking about my dad. And I didn't want to talk about that because I didn't want to be sad. Like, I didn't want to be sad, so why are you trying to bring up something that makes me sad? But nobody ever explained to me why I was in counseling or the purpose of me talking about my father. So that was not beneficial at all. I ended up leaving. So as a child, I just felt like that nobody was really there for me or paid me a lot of attention. And so I was kind of by myself a lot. Like, I was surrounded by my family and my cousins and things, but I feel like when it came to the things I was like really on in my life, I feel like I didn't really have people to talk to, or I didn't know who to go to or who to talk to. And so I kind of stayed to myself and figured those things out by myself. But contradicting the statement of feeling like there was nobody there, like I said, I was always around my family, but they expected so much out of me to the point to where I didn't want to mess up in front of them. Like, I didn't want to make a mistake. I felt like as a kid, like the minor mistakes that I made were exaggerated so much to, like, if I did something that was actually bad, like, I would be in trouble. And so I stayed out of trouble a lot. Like, I was that person, just looking for ways to stay out of trouble. If I did make a mistake, correct it before the adults saw. So that kind of led to a negative independence like later in life, and the need for external validation and to need the approval of others before I do something, or in order for me to pursue what I really wanted in life. And so through elementary and middle school, I was very much goal oriented, as I like to say, but I found ways to keep a positive mindset and a positive environment. And I think looking back at that now, I really think it's very impressive. I would wake up early on Saturday mornings at like 6 a.m. and I would turn on the radio and listen to All Blue Saturday. And then I would sit at my desk and I would just be reading poetry and studying and doing research about what I wanted to do in life, and finding new motivational quotes, putting them on my walls, drawing pictures, all of that. That's basically how my Saturdays went as a kid. But that's what I love to do, and I surrounded myself with a very much positive environment. But then we ended up moving houses, and I never established that relationship again, like with myself. I never reestablished that positive environment. And so I kind of started to really notice the things that I was going through in life, or paying more attention to them. And so then I started to go through other things in life and other different things about body image and all this other stuff, but that's a story for another day. But like when my dad came back home, or to our hometown again, I didn't really know how to act. I didn't know what to say to him. I didn't know like how to establish that relationship with him again, because it was just like I was so used to being by myself that I didn't know what part of my life was he supposed to be a part of. So I didn't really know how to talk to him. Like I wanted to be around him, and anytime I was like at his house or whatever, like I sit next to him and I'm around him physically, but I don't know what to say, and I never knew what to say. And so until I figured out what to say, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put our relationship to the back burner until I figure out what to say to him. Like, let me tell you, that was not a good solution. That was not a solution. That was a whole Band-Aid, and that Band-Aid came off recently. I have figured that out now, where I have taken steps to improve that now, but then I put that to the back burner. I am a Christian, and so at the age of 12, I did decide to give my life to Christ. That was a personal decision, was not forced into that, but that was the best decision that I have ever made in my life. I have grown in so many areas of my life, and I'm a true and honest believer that God is not just here for our spiritual health and spiritually and in spiritual matters in our lives, but in every area of our lives. So mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, socially, wherever we going through, that God is there and that he will help you through. And so I have grown in so many areas of my life. I have matured because of that relationship that I've had with him, and I got so close with him because again, I still felt like that people weren't really there for me. And during that time of me as a kid establishing that positive environment, I set goals for myself in life and was kind of like building up the person who I wanted to be and the character that I wanted to have. And so by the time I was 12, 13, I knew who I wanted to be. I pretty much knew what I wanted to do. And it's the same thing that I still want to do now, which is kind of crazy. But as I started to now express that to the people around me, it was like people didn't agree with the person who I wanted to be. And it was just like, but this who I'm gonna be, and you don't agree with that, or you don't want me to go there, or you don't think I should pursue that, or you think this is dumb. And it's just like, because I've never wanted to make a mistake in the face of my family, it's like, do I listen to them, or do I try and change what I wanted to do? And I went through a whole season of trying to change what I wanted to do, trying to change my interests, because they were like telling me that, oh, I need to look at different colleges, or I need to look at different career paths, or I need to look at different things. And I'm like, I've done all this research already. Like, I know what I want to do, and I know the person that I want to be. And so when people kind of started to come against that idea, again, I separated myself again. So God was really there for me during that time, and he still is. October the 20th of 2020, I was out with my friends, and I had an anxiety attack because there was something that one of them did that kind of reminded me of a traumatic experience that I had had some years before that. But I had my first anxiety attack in 3 years, and I'm grateful that my friends were there. I'm grateful that they were very supportive and were able to help me calm down and continue to be there for me even to this day. But basically around that same time, I was acknowledging the fact that I do show signs of depression. I do show consistent signs of depression and anxiety, and I always have been, but I kind of put that stuff on the back burner. And I had already removed myself from like this positive environment, and I felt like I was like, and I felt like I wasn't really, like I wasn't in that positive space that I had created for myself. And it was just, I've always been kind of conformed to where other people wanted me to be. And even now with me being in California, other people wanted me to be here, so here I am. But as a kid, I have no control over that. And so my mental state like suffered from all of that. And I really started to acknowledge the things that I was really going through, but I never did anything about it. I never tried to, seek help for the pain that I was feeling, for what I was going through. And that just sent my mental health rapidly declining. Like for 8 months, December to 2020 to July of 2021, my mental state just continued to decline. And if you watch my story about my transition from my hometown to now being in California, that's kind of a good video about more how I feel or how that transition was. But that transition is still happening. And so I'm still like learning to care for myself mentally. But I have acknowledged like the root of the issues that I was going through. Before I left to come to California, I started to cry those same cries that I did at 9 years old for my dad, that I did, being 15 at the time before I left to California. And it was just like, I know what I need to do to get my life together. Like, I need to talk to my dad. Like, I need to communicate with my dad. I need to establish that relationship with my dad, because he's always been there. Like, even when he wasn't physically there, he's my main supporter no matter the mistakes that I have made. And it's just like, I knew I needed to do that. And so being out here in California, though we're physically distanced, we are reestablishing that relationship and that connection. And I try and talk to him more, and just talk to him about whatever. Just talk to him about whatever I feel is important or not important. But it's just the fact that I'm talking to him because he's my father, and I'm getting that stuff off my chest, period. And I'm grateful for that. And I've learned a lot, about myself mentally since I've been here. And so I learned a lot of things since I've been here and during this time, and honestly just in my life when it relates to my mental health. And I want to kind of share those things with you. The first thing is to stop acknowledging problems and then not doing anything about it. It does you no good. You know how we tell people to not point out flaws in other people unless they can fix it in a minute or so. So, somebody had a fly away in their hair, like, hello, girl, let me help you fix that real quick. Oh, your shoe untied. Or, hello, let's, fix your glasses real quick. Go out there and slay. You know what I'm saying? Not, oh, you fat. Oh, that is so ugly. Like, oh, you are so ugly. Oh my gosh, you got a mole on your hand. Like, that's just rude. That's rude to the other person, and we can do that to ourselves. And it's rude to ourselves to just acknowledge that we have a problem or that we are showing symptoms of a mental illness, and then not ever seeking for help, not ever seeking for ways to help ourselves mentally. It does you no good. And so when that thing happens again, or when your triggers happen, or when you're triggered, all you're reminded of, oh, I do have this mental problem, huh? Or, oh, I do cry a lot, huh? Okay, whatever. Like, don't do that. It's not beneficial at all. Please don't do that. I told one of my friends last year that stress will kill you from the inside out, and depression does the same thing. It works from the inside out, and it's a mind thing. And so tip number 2 is to know that you're not alone. Depression tries to convince us that we're alone in what we're going through, and that is not true at all. Depression is very common in the world, in adolescents, in adults, in women, in men, period. Depression is very common, but many people do not seek help. Many people honestly may be experiencing similar things to what you are experiencing. The feeling of literally physically cannot get out of bed, cannot move, have no motivation, have no will to live, can't brush your teeth, don't take care of yourself hygienically. And it's not that we don't want to be clean, but it's just sometimes you feel like you can't, or that you can't physically do the action, can't physically get up to go to work, can't physically, express the way that you're feeling. Crying uncontrollably, worrying uncontrollably. Like, there are a lot of people who experience these same things, but we try to hide them. But please know that you are not alone. Know that you are not alone. And it's the people who are going through those similar things as you, or the same thing, who will understand that feeling the most. And so when other people you're around may not understand that feeling, or may not understand why you can't do all the tasks that you were assigned to do, or whatever the case may be, remember to praise yourself. Praise yourself for the small things. If you got up this morning, period. I got up today. If you brushed your teeth, if you took a shower, praise yourself. Be like, you did that. Girl, you doing a good job, or bruh, you doing a good job. Just look at yourself in the mirror and say, you're doing good today. You did this today, and that's a good job, period. Because other people don't realize that those small steps, they may be small to them, but it means the world to you. It could be a pivotal moment to you. For you to get up in the morning, brush your teeth, wash your face, take a shower, put on clothes, that's a big step for some people. And so praise yourself and know that you're not alone. Something that I've noticed being on this journey is that sometimes it feels like people are trying to normalize what is common. Something that is common means that it is done often or shared by more than one. Something that is normal is the way that it should be. It is a standard, or it is something that is typical. And so though many people may have depression or may have anxiety, does not mean that it should be normal and that we should be saying, oh, it's okay to cry all the time. Oh, it's okay to feel suicidal. Oh, it's okay to have no will to live. It's okay to just not physically be able to move and get up and do anything. That's not okay. And if it was okay, we would not be seeking for cures for a mental illness if that's the way it should have been. We would not be searching for peace, love, community, and comfort and freedom if this was the way it should have been. We would not be ashamed of our poor mental state if this is the way that it should be. But clearly it's not. And we are emotional beings who search for that freedom, who search for peace, and who search for comfort and love and joy in our lives, and want to have a joyful life full of fun, full of joy. And because we want that and our depression is stopping us from doing that, y'all, let's not normalize what is common. And so when it comes to sharing our stories, or we form communities of people, let's not just form a community so that people know that they're not alone, but let's share our stories, and so that they can be encouraged. Let's share those tips about how we, help ourselves and encourage each other to seek out for help if they need that. And so my third thing, and the main thing that I really wanted to say in this video, is that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. But after you acknowledge that you're not okay, and this is something that my teacher said, after you acknowledge that you're not okay, it's okay to seek for help. It's okay to seek for help. It's okay to get help. And so if you are ever in emergency need of assistance or help, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Line at 1-800-273-8255. Like, if you need to, do it, okay? But something else that is being recommended is to take mental health screenings. Now, sometimes they can be given by your healthcare provider. I do get them at my doctor's office at my checkups, and I was diagnosed with mild depression the last time that I did take one. But the most recent time that I've taken one, because I have been doing better mentally, I actually did not show those same signs, and I'm grateful for that. But though it is not an official diagnosis, it does allow you to know about more what your symptoms are, so that you can seek for professional help if you need to, through counseling or therapy, or if it is emergent, to call that suicide prevention helpline. And so don't be afraid to seek out for help or to take those screenings. It really just helps you to understand where you are mentally, and so you know how to better help yourself. Because the third thing that we can do is to create a positive environment for ourselves, and do different things that can really help us mentally, and find out what works for you, and to know and identify our triggers, and to kind of figure out, how we can take preventative measures, or how we can cope or help ourselves after that. Though I know as a kid, I had a positive environment, and I didn't pay attention to a lot of things that I was going through at the root. That positive environment really helped me, and I'm in the process of reestablishing that, and I really encourage you to do that. So stretching, yoga, taking care of yourself mentally, encouragement videos, whatever you need to do. Even if that thing that you need to do is to seek professional help, please do that. Please take care of yourself. Remember that we are all on our own mental health journey. We are all just striving to take care of ourselves mentally, and no matter where you are on that spectrum, whether you have been diagnosed or have not been diagnosed, or whether you think you have good mental health and whether you do or whether you don't, just know that you're not in this alone. Each and every person in this world just want to be mentally healthy and are on our own journey, and so you are not alone. It's okay to not be okay, and this is my story. This is my encouragement to you, and I really just want you to take care of yourself and be blessed.